What actor should play you in your biopic?
Why can't I be president for 8 years and then play myself? Crying out loud. I'm multi-talented. Bleep! No, that's not my favorite curse word. If you want to know what my favorite curse word is, you're gonna have to ask me when the camera's not running and hear it. I remember the angriest I ever got at my country was in my neighborhood where there was a horrific shooting. This was a young man who had shots in his chest and, foamy blood coming from his mouth. And I just remember being home that night and I just broke, and I felt so angry at my country that doesn't seem to give a damn sometimes about the carnage you see in communities like mine. But hope is the active conviction that despair will never have the last word. This is a time in America where there are heartbreaking things happening, but you have a choice always to give up or to keep fighting. And I come from a community of fighters, and that's really shaped me. I became a vegan, which if you were an African American and living in a black community, folk look at you twice sometimes about your own eating habits. I love my mom, and the older I get, the more she is a Wonder Woman, Superwoman. She raised my brother and I, two strong black boys. My mom not only had business success, showed her entrepreneurialism, was a civil rights activist that helped plan the March on Washington, did sit-ins. She was there at my ball games. She's actually now out there on my campaign trail, still doing what I think parents' job is to embarrass their kids.
You rescued a woman from a burning building. Are you a superhero?
Oh, God. People hailed me as if that was some kind of heroic thing, but the reality is, in neighborhoods that are more beloved communities, you see that kind of everyday heroism all the time. I think the first time I got starstruck, where I just felt like, oh my gosh, was when I stood and met Bill Bradley. I was just like, this is a guy from basketball to the things he talked about. From the Senate floor, he was giving speeches on race and the challenge of race in America. And I still remember meeting him, this nerd who just so revered his policy that I couldn't get clear sentences out and trying to struggle to sound coherent. I think we have a real challenge in this nation, that we're going from a beloved community to a level of tribalism. We need to heal this country. We need to have a revival of civic grace, a more courageous empathy for each other. And I believe the next leader of this country can't be demeaning and degrading other Americans, pitting us against each other. This is a time we need American leaders, plural, that are going to inspire us again to see within each other with a more courageous empathy that we need each other. We've got to stand together. Dear God, we've got to put more united back into this one nation under God. Sometimes after a long day, I'll come home and hang out with my two best friends, Ben and Jerry. Empty carbohydrates is something I go to too often. The span of my musical interests range from Common, Jay-Z, Chance the Rapper, all the way to Brace Yourself Now, Barry Manilow. Oh, Mandy, you came and you gave without taking, and then you sent me away. From the time I was an adult, I've been working in low-income inner-city communities that have been getting the rawest of deals. I want people to know that that's my history and that is my intention in this country. Whether you're in a rural area or a factory town, if you're one of those communities where you feel like you're being left out or left behind or overlooked, this is who I've been fighting not only for, but who I've been working with my whole entire career. I used to live with newspapers, and now screw newspapers. And so the two apps I love, one is just my newspaper apps, and I read in the morning really quickly through them. And then I just love podcasts. I can listen to them, even at accelerated speeds, which I really do like as well. This is one of those times that all of us should look at this field, not with, oh my gosh, there's so many people, but oh my gosh, look how incredibly diverse and talented this field is. I celebrate that, and I am running for president because amidst this field, I am confident in my experience, being the only person that was a chief executive of a major American city and a United States senator that got major pieces of legislation passed. I love sleep, but it is a terrible, terrible relationship that I have. My average now has gone down horribly low. Somewhere between 7 and 9 would be my dream. And I do think that we are in a bad point in society where people are almost bragging. I've never seen such a lack of empathy. I hear people say, oh, I got 5 hours of sleep. And instead of saying, hey, what's going on there? People are like, 5? You lazy bum. I got 3 hours of sleep. It's almost like a competition, a race to the bottom. I did work in my parents' restaurant waiting tables, and I have some very painful memories of working in that restaurant and doing jobs that now make me have a lot of respect for restaurant workers. Someone who's nice to you but not nice to the waiter is not a nice person. We have a nation now that is so over-incarcerating African Americans. Now there are more African Americans under criminal supervision than all the slaves in 1850. This was an issue I went to the Senate to fight for, and I'm proud that the only major piece of bipartisan legislation that we were able to get through was comprehensive criminal justice reform that is a first step in a longer journey to ending mass incarceration. The system of mass incarceration that is so perverted that we have people that have served time in jail for doing things that 2 of the last 3 presidents have admitted to doing. You know, you grow up and you see it plainly. Stopped by the police, pulled over more times than my peers, followed in department stores and malls. Literally to buy the house I grew up in, my parents had to get a white couple to pose as them because the real estate agent wouldn't sell the home to a black family. Every single candidate in the Democratic primary should be asked to make a pledge that if they don't end up being the nominee, that they will put their full force of support, energy, and effort, as well as making sure or encouraging their followers to do the same to support whoever the nominee is. There's an old African saying that says, sticks in a bundle can't be broken.
And then a follow-up on this, just a question from a previous candidate.
One of the big things that I will see get done and fight to get done is a massive investment in infrastructure in our country, from water quality to rural broadband to starting to catch up to our competitors globally. We can get roads and bridges fixed in this country, put people to work doing it. I have this terrible problem that I love to sing and cannot do it. So I am one of those guys that will try to sing anything, anywhere, anytime. So I have no go-to karaoke song. Just invite me to karaoke and let me go at it, but no recording allowed whatsoever.